Then I'm going with you.
You said you were going to leave this life behind.
We both said that we were leaving the life behind.
He's right. We're family. We got a problem, we deal with it together.
Welcome back to Thinking Critical. This is Wes, and another week, another example of failing upwards at Marvel Comics, specifically in the X-Men line. And here to talk with me about that is my good friend from the Comics by Perch podcast. Perch, how you doing?
Well, I'm doing okay. Thanks for having me on.
Well, I'm glad you could make it. Obviously, not too long ago, we learned that even though Gerry Duggan's Cable series was ending abruptly, he was going to be relaunching the new X-Men title when Jonathan Hickman moves on. And now Leah Williams, whose X Factor series was stealth canceled, is getting a replacement with the Trial of Magneto. I can't imagine anything like more representative of what's wrong, not only with Marvel or comics, but what's wrong with X-Men.
Yeah, I think here I'll just going to annoy all your viewers real quick, but it's worth saying to play devil's advocate with one aspect of this. These characters that were having low sales, Cable and the X Factor team, they're not big name characters. I mean, who was the biggest name on X Factor? Polaris, maybe. That's your biggest draw. I think you could make an argument that you put anyone on that book with Polaris, and the sales are going to be lower than if you had if you're writing a book with Cyclops or Jean Grey or Wolverine or so on. I think naturally something like X-Force got Wolverine on the team that's going to have higher sales. Cable, especially young Cable, it's just not a big draw as a character. So I think that there is it's worth saying. Now I'm not taking away from your point. I said to take immediately a different direction, but I think it's worth at least noting that, yes, the creators are involved, and I expect we're going to talk about that. But also they're putting them on characters that are low selling characters. And so it's not terribly surprising that they're low selling. And it's also, I say this because when, say, Gerry Duggan goes on X-Men, that book is going to sell dramatically better than Cable. Again, initially, yeah. Yeah, initially, I don't think it will fall to Cable level because
it's the X-Men.
Because it's the X-Men, exactly. I think the creator is certainly part of it, but it's not all of it. And so I think there is that aspect. They're taking some of their creators. Leah Williams is going from a book headlined by Polaris to a limited series headlined by Magneto that's going to have a big kickoff in the Hellfire Gala. So I think these are higher profile books, and they'll do better.
That's my point. Why are they getting higher profile books? What has Leah Williams done at X-Men? She started out in Age of X-Men, which I would call that miniseries she had uniquely terrible.
I didn't like that miniseries. No, in fact, it was very perplexing. This was the one where Blob and Cyclops, that'd be a very different book. Blob and Psylocke had a romance, and it was very weird. I say that, by the way, and people always think I'm joking because nobody's read this book.
It's a real book.
It was there. I don't have the answer to that. I think there's a feeling in the X office that these creators have a story to tell, and they valuable. They can protect the mythology, and they're part of the family. I don't get it exactly. I get Gerry Duggan more than Leah Williams. And I'll say it for this reason. Gerry Duggan he's
had Deadpool.
He's had a very successful Deadpool. He had one of the higher selling Deadpool runs. And so I get it. You put him on young Cable. It's not going to do well. He was on Marauders at the beginning, and Marauders at the beginning did well. So I think there's I get it. Leah Williams is stranger to me in the sense that what was it? The Extremis? That was her book. Yes. Extremis. It didn't do well, and it was a very perplexing read. And so your viewers should understand. I mean, I like David Lynch very much. He's not a mainstream director. I understand my tastes are unique and niche. I get it. I wouldn't put David Lynch on the Avengers or the next James Bond movie. That if I wanted to make money, that would be crazy. In comics, I think we saw Extremis. It didn't do well. It was very niche, very strange. To have her be part of the, do X Factor, similar tone, similar vibe, didn't sell particularly well. To now push on to Trial of Magneto, I lay it out that way because this is like the third time. It is a strange move. Somebody at Marvel believes Leah Williams is money and just needs to be put on the right project. And I'm not seeing it.
It's like Dr. Phil says, the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. There's no record of success specifically with these characters or in general.
Yeah, I mean, she had that brief bump with
Amazing Mary Jane.
Yeah. But even that kind of died out. I don't know, her writing, her writing is very niche. It is. And I'm not, I even say anything insulting. She said that herself. So I don't know. It is, I wouldn't put niche creators on blockbuster properties for me and expect good results. So I don't get the strategy here. Again, I'm probably irritating all your listeners right now. I've had this question. I've been trying to think my way through it. I've been trying to just lay it out. I don't believe that people in the X office or any office are just sitting around lunatics out of their mind, just making decisions based on a night of coke. I think there's some reason here that I'm missing. I don't get it.
I think they consider themselves a group and, well, this one didn't work on. It's time for you to get your next opportunity and step up in character, because that's what was holding you back. And it's absolutely insanity. Gerry Duggan, on his time during this iteration of X-Men, I know some people like Marauders. I read it. I did not like it. Cable was awful. For him to get a step up to the X-Men like flagship is beyond ridiculous. Even though he's had success with Deadpool is not in this.
I'm sure. I'm sure that the Deadpool and the sales there are the driving force behind the decision. But you said it there. I think there is a feeling like this is a family of creators. It's a tight knit group. They're trying to make sure that the tight knit group stays a group and intact, and that's what's going on here. I don't want to say protecting their own, but we're trying to make sure that everybody in the group has a title and has a place to land. That's what's going on.
Nepotism.
Yeah,
these spots, the spot on the X-Men title or a spot on the Trial of Magneto miniseries should be something that these creators are having to fight tooth and nail for. That's an opportunity potentially of a lifetime for somebody's comic career. Why is it being gifted to people that are failing?
So to me, the question quickly becomes, it's not about the creators. It's because I get people wanting to keep the family, keep the group, keep their friends together. That's normal behavior. We all do it. The difference though, is that
leaders step up and they realize that's not healthy.
Yeah. It's if you're the editor of this line or you're the company, part of this whole X launch is that we want to create some IP that's going to be converted into a movie in a few years. The X-Men in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is a big deal. That's why, they like, apparently Kevin Feige likes Hickman because of some of the stuff Hickman put together for the Avengers that did come into the movies, like the Black Order and stuff with Thanos. I don't know why the leadership is willing to let this ride. And in particular, the idea of look, I get that you're all friends. I get that this is a family and we want to keep that group, that team together. But at the end of the day, we've got to get some IP out here. We've got to get some, we got to get some big stories that we can sell and convert. And, I could you reasonably make a movie based on that X Factor run? I don't think so. The Young Cable run, could you make a movie off that? I don't think you could. And I'm not saying that from whether I like it or not. Like literally, if you pick up the comic, there's not a movie in there. That's a challenge. So if you're not making huge sales in the comics, if you're not making IP that can be converted into a movie, then what's left? And so to me, I just question what is the plan of the leadership? That's the question mark.
Also, and what are fans supposed to do? They see these things enough times that eventually you lose faith that the team behind X-Men or the leadership at Marvel that are supposed to be giving you the best X-Men related stories they can possibly give you. It feels like they don't care. That's the bottom line, and that's the frustrating part. As a fan myself and as someone who's covering it, the industry here, you read this stuff and you're like, again, there's no way. I must be out of my mind.
I think there's a problem in comics all over the place where there's not a good understanding of the customer. And what I mean by that is I don't know if these companies have a really good handle on who the customer is and what they're doing and what they're interested in. And I'll say it from this perspective, at Disney, the company, there's a massive obsession with understanding your customer, what they like, what they do, what they, in the parks, what kind of merchandise they buy, who comes in, all the rest. We know Amazon is obsessive about their customer, what kind of profile they make, and all the rest.
How can we get their money out of their wallet?
Yes, exactly, and that's normal behavior for a company to have. Mm-hmm. With comics, it feels like there's a major disconnect to who is the customer. I think that there's a very high preference to look at what goes on Twitter and say, oh, this is our customer. But like we saw with X Factor, X Factor was loved on Twitter. There were lots of tweets about how great that title was, and this is the best book of the X-Men line. Yesterday, the news that X Factor had been canceled was a couple of weeks ago, but it just dawned on people yesterday because it was in the Trial of Magneto press release. And there were people just, very sad, saying, I never saw this coming. How could this possibly be? And you could see this coming. The sales were low. I mean, even when we were getting them recorded prior to the pandemic and they were public, they were low. After which, some of the numbers I've seen from the office, it was selling in the 20,000s. It was low. And that's in cancellation territory. But a lot of the people on social media who are loving it are either not buying it bluntly, or maybe they are buying it. Maybe they're part of that 20,000. But if you go to the piracy sites, you see hundreds of thousands of views. And so the question mark is, maybe some of this audience that's been cultivated here are not comic buyers. They're getting the comic another way, but they're not actually buying the comic. So then they're going to be perpetually surprised when the comics get canceled. Because at the end of the day, if you don't have money coming in, the comic is going to get canceled. Maybe not right away, but eventually. So I don't think the comic companies have a good handle on who their customer is. And their customer is defined as the person who's willing to spend money to buy the comic. I think
not the person that's willing to say that it's great, whether they paid for it or not.
Yeah, exactly. The people who are causing it to trend and say, I love it, if they're not spending money, it's not particularly valuable. I mean, that's rough. I know, man, evil capitalism, shit, hate that. But if you're not buying it, you're not supporting the title. So I love it. Oh my God, best X-Men title ever. But you're not funding it. I mean, it's going to get canceled. And it's funny and sad to me to see people lose their minds over this. I cannot believe this got canceled. It's like I cannot believe you can't believe it got canceled.
The writing was on the wall, but hey, it's just another case of people failing their way up at Marvel and the X-Men offense. It's normal, but I still can't believe it. There's got to be some moment where the light clicks on. They're like, this isn't working. We got to do something else, but we're not there yet somehow.
Again, and I know I'm positive there will be lots of people saying I'm an idiot in your comments. I'm trying to understand the thinking here. There is some plan at work that we're not getting, and it would be good to understand that. So I've speculated on a few reasons. I'm very curious to see what your listeners say. Maybe they have got their own reasons. I'm sure there are lots of theories, but it is weird. The best I can come to is there's a thorough misunderstanding of who the customers are. And that is going to be a big problem if they don't get that lined up.
If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. I would appreciate it very much. It helps us attract more views for the channel. Subscribe for future commentary, comic book news, and reviews. And don't forget to ring the bell for notifications. If you want to talk comics, movies, and much, much more, you can follow me on Twitter at Wes_from_TC. With that, Salamat Po, and I'm out.